All right, welcome back to the Coffee Monday podcast. And I know you're super excited to learn more about our next guest. But before we dive in, firstly, we got to talk coffee. Of course, Dutch Bros coffee to be specific. Fall is here, guys, ready or not. And I don't know about you, but I'm excited for some sweater weather. That said, you would think that when the weather cools down, I would transition to some hot coffee drinks, but that's not necessarily the case. I love a good iced coffee moment year round. And one of my favorite local coffee spots is Dutch Bros, and they've recently come out with all of their fun fall additions to their drinks. Everyone always asks me what I order at Dutch, and honestly, I switch it up. This fall, I'm loving a good iced Golden Eagle, half sweet, with oat milk, and then I treat myself to a festive soft top. They have a new pumpkin pie soft top that is truly divine. If you don't know what a soft top is, it's like a light, sweet, fluffy cream that rests on the top of your iced drink. They also have other yummy fall drinks if that's not your thing. They have a pumpkin cold brew, pumpkin pie cold brew, a pumpkin pie latte, and you can pair any of those with the festive pumpkin pie soft top. Visit at Dutch Bros Fresno on Instagram for more info on all their fun drinks. Coffee Monday is more than a podcast. It's a movement to reshape the way we approach Mondays and the week ahead. It's about embracing the reality that work doesn't have to dominate our lives. It's about finding that sweet spot where passion, purpose, and a cup of motivation connect. Filmed and recorded in California's Central Valley, join me, your host, Ray Pardini-Matson, as I invite thriving professionals to share their stories of how they're crafting a life that's both vibrant and balanced. Well, thanks for being here. Happy to have you, Vincent Ricchiuti.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. You wear a lot of hats. A lot. So what, COO of PR Farms, which I want to talk more about. Co-founder of Enzo Olive Oil Company.
Yep.
Managing partner of Heritage Development Company. You're involved in a wine brand that I also want to talk about.
Absolutely.
You're a proud Fresno State alum and have been involved with the university. Proud husband, father, son, friend, all the things.
All the things.
Wow. Thanks for being here. That's a lot.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
That's a lot to juggle, and we're really, really happy to have you here. So tell us about yourself, Vincent. You grew up in Fresno, born and raised, and your family is in ag. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I'm the fourth generation on our family business. My great grandfather immigrated here on my dad's side, and put down roots in New York. That's where my grandfather was born, and then they immediately came out to California. And my great grandfather was in row crops and those types of things. When my grandfather came back from World War II is when PR Farms was really born. So it was incorporated in the 40s and kind of really took off. And what you see of PR Farms now was really, those roots were put in right after World War II. And yeah, my dad, started running PR Farms, and now I'm poised to take over the reins as the next generation.
Very cool. So do you see your dad every day? What's the family business dynamic like?
No,
I'm
absolutely.
always curious with that.
I see my dad every day. His office/conference room is across the hall from mine. We're constantly talking about something, or he's popping in my office, I'm popping in his. I also see my mother every day with her role in ENZO'S Table. So there's always a lot going on.
So fun. So how do you juggle that? I mean, you have multiple properties, your office, obviously, that you go to with your dad. Do you share time in other areas, or tell me, I'm always curious too, how people spend their days and kind of structure their time. So what does a work day or work week look like for you?
Well, every single day is very different.
Yeah.
I'll start with that, and especially depending on what time of year that we're in. Right now we're in the middle of harvest, and so it's even more chaotic. But we are very much spread out. We don't have like a singular campus where I can jump around to different buildings. My office is located on the corner of Shepherd and Willow. We have our olive milling facility in Madera on 99, Highway 99 and between Avenue 7 and 8. And we have our almond facility on Highway 99 and 18 and a half. And then we have our bakery in downtown, Old Town Clovis. We have a retail store across the street from my office at Shepherd and Willow. So
tell us, pause, rewind. What's the name of the bakery in Clovis?
The bakery is Enzo's Table Bakery.
Love it.
Yeah.
And the retail storefront
is Enzo's Table.
Enzo's Table.
Yep.
So previously it was on, when it comes to directional corners, I'm so bad. It was previously on which corner of Willow and Shepherd?
The southeast corner.
Southeast corner.
And now it's on the northwest corner.
Okay. Temporarily.
Correct.
And that's in the Row Center.
Yes.
So temporarily, what's next for Enzo's Table? Can we talk a little bit about that and where that will eventually go?
Yeah, absolutely. So Enzo's Table was, like you said, it was on the southeast corner. We've moved to the northwest corner. You got me out there. To the northwest corner temporarily. The next project for Heritage Development Company is a new retail center called the Avenue, which is diagonal from the Row. And the plan is to build a new flagship store for Enzo's Table. We have a lot of fun things planned for that. But it's going to be a beautiful shop.
So cool. So cool. So you have all these different businesses essentially, and literally all over the valley, Fresno, Clovis, Madera, essentially.
Yes.
So you just kind of how do you structure
I structure the day of, I tried to go to these different spots at least once a week, just because they're far. It's a 30-minute drive, an hour just of driving back and forth without even spending time there. So I try and get there as often as possible. When not, we have scheduled meetings. So we have product development meetings scheduled once a week, an operations meeting scheduled once a week with different team members. And we either get on, we get on Zoom, and we use Slack a lot. So, especially on the Enzo side, we use Slack a lot. And then we use Heritage Development Company for the real estate side. We also use Slack. That is a partnership with the Parnagian family and Fowler Packing. So on Heritage, we have two different companies that are coming together with that, or two different families. And so being able to have a technology piece that links us together on communication has been, very dynamic and very helpful.
Right. I imagine. And have you guys ever worked together before, or how did that kind of come about?
On the Heritage Development side? No, we hadn't worked together, but we have a lot of similarities in how we believe, how our families operate, and what we expect to get out of real estate. We both have families that we're trying to set up for generations. So the things that we're building are very thoughtful, long-term holds. We're not looking to buy things and flip things. So when we're investing in something, it's for the long haul, which
love that.
When you're doing that, your beliefs on how it's going to be built and how it's going to be developed are very different than if you're trying to just build it and flip it and it's not going to be yours in 5 years. This is hopefully going to be built for my children and my children's children as a legacy piece.
I love that. And you're already fourth generation.
Yeah.
Which is so cool. So did the kids ever come with you to work? You have 3 littles.
Yep.
Twins are how old?
The girls are 8 years old, and my son is 5. So
Sweet.
they're they come to work, especially during the holidays when we're there a lot, and during summer. It's
sweet.
a lot of fun.
Love that. So cool. So from an outsider's perspective, a fan of the Enzo brand, a friend of yours, obviously have known your background with Enzo.
Yeah.
But to me, it seems like the land development piece is a recent thing. But you said your family's been a part of that for years and years.
Yeah.
Right?
So on the real estate side, PR Farms, Ricchiuti family, yes, we're known as being farmers. However, we have been, buying, developing land and holding it with, via farming for generations. My grandfather did it. My dad's done it. Now I'm doing it a little differently, helping doing it a little differently. And how that worked was, we would buy land and, a housing development would come along and then we would sell that land either to a home builder. We've actually, we've had, I think it's 3 of the, let me do this in my head really quick. Yeah. 3 of the 5 Clovis Unified High Schools are on former Ricchiuti property.
Oh, how cool is that?
So
Very cool.
when you when you think of that, like that means that we're buying land continuously and in the path of development. So we're trying to get out ahead of things, and hold it for a long period of time, and then be able to sell it when the timing is right.
Yeah.
So we've been land developers or land sellers in the past. The partnership with Heritage Development Company has allowed us to not just sell land, but actually now develop it. So like where the row is, that used to be a plum orchard, right? And so my my grandfather farmed it, my dad farmed it, and it used to be plums. And I remember vividly walking across the street, going to those fields, having them picked, all those types of things. Now that piece of property is still in our family, but it is now, in a different form. We're now harvesting it in a different way for generations to come.
Love that. Now, tell me, as an observation, I feel like I've noticed a lot of the businesses at the row are local.
Yeah.
Was that intentional, or is that a coincidence, or
no?
Very cool.
Yeah, it's absolutely intentional. We want to be able to build our centers with the best of the best local businesses, and so we thought we curated the way that we curated the row. I'm really proud of. We have a nice mix of local tenants. We also have some nationals coming in, and on this next phase of the row,
cool.
Which I'm excited about. And then the avenue, we're trying to do the same thing. And, it's way, as you can imagine, it's much more risky to do it this way.
Right.
The easiest thing to do is just go get a bunch of national tenants, and it looks the same as every other center down the street. But what we're trying to do is, really partner with our local tenants, with local businesses, to help lift them up and also make a very curated, special environment.
So cool. So I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the food trucks.
Absolutely.
So I feel like Enzo's Table in your previous location has very much branded that corner prior to the row to have the food trucks have a strong presence there. And just a very like farmer's market,
Sure.
farm to table type of vibe, which I imagine you're going for with Enzo's Table branding, right? So now that area is going to be developed into the avenue, where are the food trucks? Are they going to stay? Or are they going to, what's the deal there?
Yeah, so the food trucks it's been a very fun relationship with the food trucks.
Yeah, so tell me, that's been around for a while now.
Yeah, so it started in 2012.
Oh, wow.
Spring of 2012. And I, on Twitter, X now, but I tweeted at a local food truck. It was Taco BBQ, so it was a Korean fusion barbecue truck, rice bowls, those types of things, Korean tacos. They had tweeted like they were looking for a place to go that Sunday. And so I was like, this is great. Enzo's Table at that point was newer. We had moved into this new building, and people still didn't know what we were. So I thought, hey, let's get a food truck out there and we can get some cross-pollination. And so I tweeted at them, hey, why don't you come to Enzo's Table? And
Love
at
it.
that time, I think it was still called Bella Fruta, if we're being honest, before we did the name switch. But I then had a couple of my buddies do the same thing, tweet at them, hey, you should go to Enzo's Table. And it worked. They showed up the next day, and they were there for the next 9 years. I think he's retired now and moved back east, that specific truck.
Yeah.
But he was the catalyst for what you see now. And now we have a lot more trucks out there all the time.
Yeah, so cool. So are they going to stay? I feel like they're still there, right?
Yeah, to get back to that. So they're still there.
Yeah.
Currently, however, the plan is that we're going to have them park in a more quasi-permanent location with a dedicated parking lot and dedicated area on the south side of Shepherd, where our packing house is now. We've got a parking lot there that is almost done being constructed, and that's where they're going to be parking.
Love it. So still in the same area.
Same intersection, just about 100 yards away.
Yeah. No,
absolutely.
That's so cool. So cool. Love that. So how do you balance your time between all of the different businesses? You have Enzo, and then you have the development, and Enzo's Table. It seems like your mom is super involved with that, so she probably handles a lot of that, right?
Yep, absolutely.
and the farming side of the business. Like, do you find yourself gravitating to one certain area more, or do you try to, as you mentioned, kind of spread the love a little bit?
Definitely have to spread the love.
Yeah.
But you also have to trust your managers and trust the people that you are working with, right? So we're blessed to have a great team around us, great family involvement with my mom and my dad and myself, and we're trying to, you have to then work with your managers and really trust them and have a good line of communication to your whole team. And yeah, so it's all about communication and trust.
Right. Yeah, we use Slack too. You mentioned that earlier. That's
it's great.
amazing.
We've been using it now for, I think, 5 or 6 years, and it was it's a great tool. It gets everybody on board, and everybody can kind of see what's going on, and it doesn't clutter up your email inbox. And as you can imagine, my email can get out of control very quickly, so you kind of lose track of what is in your email.
Right.
And this way, there's notifications. It's just a totally different form of communication.
Right.
Works really well.
So I love that, and I feel like you got to stay organized, right?
For sure.
Does Ashley keep you organized, or are you organized,
or
do you have help? Like, how do you stay organized?
She absolutely helps me stay organized.
Yeah.
We, during the week, again, good communication. We actually have our own family Slack channel, our Slack team.
Love that.
And so we sit down on the weekends and we kind of go over the week, and we can understand what's going to happen that week. We meal plan on the weekends for that upcoming week. So it's actually one of my responsibilities to sit down and plan out what we're going to have for dinner for the whole week. And so we, on Mondays or, whatever it is. And then Tuesday us go on through. She'll then build the grocery shopping list. One of us will go on Sunday, get the groceries for the week. And then it just takes out the guessing game of at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock on Tuesday night. Hey, what's for dinner? And then you're just like, oh, I'm just going to pick. Can you pick something up on your way home?
Yeah.
And we did that for a few months after having kids, and it got old really, really fast.
I feel that. Yeah. So do you cook together? Do you cook? Does she cook? Do
we
you
both
switch
cook.
off?
She's she's cooking during the week.
Yeah.
I enjoy having projects to cook on the weekends with her or with the kids. We love to cook even with the kids at the most.
Sweet.
This last weekend we made pizza. Rocco helped me,
Cute.
put everything on the pizzas, do all those types of things. The last weekend, we grilled lamb chops. Again, the kids helped to make the salsa verde, all those types of things. We get them involved so that it's, when you do that, our belief is that when you do that with kids, it removes the guessing game of what it is that they're eating, so they feel more comfortable eating it. And it also, it's less intimidating, right? So they know what's in it. They have buy-in because they helped make this, so now they want to try it. And anyway, it's a fun thing to do.
Great.
With them.
And you guys all eat the same meal. I know that's a silly question, but I have to ask, right? Like, you all eat the same meal, kids included.
Yeah, kids included. Yeah,
I love that.
We sit down every night for dinner, the 5 of us.
Yes.
And that's a great time for, one of my favorite things to do is kind of go around the horn and around the table, and ask them, now that Rocco is also in school in kindergarten, asking them what they learned that day, what happened on the playground, all those types of things, and really having some 3-on-1 time, if you will.
Yeah, cute. So I feel like I don't even know. I feel like there's a better word for it, but I do feel like you're a foodie. Like, you very much enjoy good food.
For sure.
You traveled all over the world eating, enjoying making good food. Like, did you grow up that way? Are your parents that way? Or do you have a personal love for it? Or where did that come from? I'm curious.
I think that a lot of it listen, I'm full-blooded 100% Italian, right? So food is very much in our culture.
Right.
From both sides of my family, from my dad's side of the family, from my mom's side of the family. I would say that my love for cooking really came from my mom's mother. So my grandmother, my mom's side. She always we would always go over there for Sunday dinners or other random nights for dinner, and I always wanted to help. and she always
Sweet.
let me help. And so that's kind of where it all got started. And then, food has definitely been a passion of mine. And now having Enzo, Enzo Olive Oil Company, when we started it, I quickly learned that having this bottle of olive oil in my hands was like a backstage pass to professional kitchens and connecting with chefs and being able to really kind of nerd out on food and understand what's going on.
I love that. I feel like I want to kind of dive into the Enzo piece a little
Absolutely.
bit too. So, because quality is never compromised with anything that you do. And I think as a person who's a fan of the brand, I can taste and see it. But like you said, I loved your term of like the backstage pass with chefs and whatnot, because the professionals in the kitchen also see it too.
For sure.
So how did you get to this place of like not compromising the quality of the product? Like, have you always been to that level, or have you grown into that? And what essentially would you say, this is a loaded question, so you can think about it, but like, what would you say sets Enzo apart from other olive oils?
I mean, so Enzo, when we started the company, one of the benchmarks that we really wanted to do was we wanted to make award-winning extra virgin olive oil. And, from day one, the first harvest that we had back in November of 2011, we won 2 silver medals or bronze, silver medals, and from the California Olive Oil Council. And we didn't know what we were doing, right? And so, but we had the intention of doing everything the right way. And so we kind of tripped over ourselves to get to that finish line a few times that first year, but it kind of set the groundwork. Okay, if we can do this, how can we get it better? And so I'm always trying to find, and my family's always trying to find the better way to get things done. And so that inherently just drives you to improve, right?
Right.
And in the past, I used to work for Fresno State football, and we can maybe talk about that later too.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
one of the things that Coach Hill would say to the team on before practice was, today you're either gonna get better, or you're gonna get worse. Nobody stays the same. So what are you going to do today?
Love that.
And so, when you show up to work, when you show up to whatever you're doing in life, like, you have to attack the day in a certain way. You're either going to get better, you're going to get worse. Nobody stays the same. And so you have to think about everything that you do in that light. And so on the olive oil side, we've spent a lot of time, energy in making sure that our team is very good, educating our team. If they ever come to me and ask, hey, there's an olive oil seminar, can I go to it? Absolutely go. Like, it's not even a hesitation.
Yeah.
Go. I want you to have the passion that I have about this product. And there's no better way than that is than them discovering it on their own. So yeah.
So many awards have been won over the years.
A lot.
And the branding. Let's talk about Enzo, the name, and the branding.
Sure.
Can we touch on that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So where did it come about? For those that don't already know the history of the family and the brand and all of that.
So Enzo Olive Oil Company, so we planted the first olive trees in 2008, and then our first harvest was 2011. We hired a branding designer out of the Seattle area. His name is Bruce Hale, and he has been working with us ever since. So, which is crazy.
It's amazing.
The longevity and the partnership that we've had with him has been great. How we came across the name on Enzo is my great grandfather's name was Vincenzo. I'm Vincent, and we thought, hey, this would be a kind of a cool way to honor the past and the present in a name of like bookending this thing. It was short, it was easy to say, all these things. And so Enzo was born in 2011, and has now, we ended up changing the store name from Bella Fruta, I think it was 2013, to Enzo's Table. And, the thought behind Enzo's Table is everything in our store and everything in this brand is everything that you would find on Enzo's Table. And so whatever we're making, whatever we're having, it has the core of it is Italian. It might have a California twist on it, but the core of it is Italian.
Love that. Love that.
Which brings us to our tagline, which is Italian heritage, California soil.
Love it all. Obsessed. And the biscotti.
Yes.
Am I saying that right? I mean, I'm Italian, but not as Italian as you.
It's biscotti, yeah.
So tell me about that too.
Yeah.
The concept was in the family, right? And has since transitioned. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So the biscotti company, it was the Biscotti House that was on Clovis Avenue. We're still there. It's just now Enzo's Table Bakery.
Right.
On Clovis Avenue and Sierra and Railroad right there, that kind of a triangular intersection. And it was my great aunt who started the company and was baking biscottis based on my great grandmother recipes. And so very meaningful, obviously very, very strong connection for me and my family, especially my mom. And, she wanted to retire. And so she had been coming to us for a couple of years with this pitch and of wanting to retire. And finally in 2020, she came to us pretty sternly and like really passionate about it. And I remember sitting in the conference room with my mom and dad, and my dad turned to me and basically said, looking to me, do you want to do this? Because I don't, right?
Yeah.
Like he at that time was 73. He's like, I don't need a new business venture to go after and figure out how this works. And I said yes. And so
cool.
that was in, I think, late spring, early summer. We closed on it on August 1st of 2020. And by October 1st of 2020, we completely rebranded to Enzo's Table Bakery with a new packaging. And
love
really
all the branding. Just
and really
so cohesive.
Dove into it and tried to make it as efficient and as streamlined as we could. That first year was wild. We learned a lot that first year, and they had been baking. It's a very small business that we inherited, and what we were able to do just that first year was pretty wild. We sold basically, with our catalog, with our online sales and our presence, we had a great system to plug it into, and we were able to sell basically 3 years worth of product of theirs in the first 2 months of our holiday season.
Wow.
And it's just taken off since then.
Wow.
It's been a lot of fun.
That's amazing. So, I mean, I imagine a lot of the listeners are local here on the podcast, but not necessarily. I mean, they could be all over. And I feel like the Enzo brand reaches much further out of the Central Valley.
For sure.
So I kind of want to touch on the catalog a little bit first. I think that's a natural segue. Thank you for bringing me the latest copy here.
Absolutely. That's our late summer edition.
This is the late summer edition. Love it. And okay, so how frequently do you release a catalog? Seasonally?
We have 8 mailings a year. So
8 mailings a year. Okay.
Yeah, so it is definitely seasonally. We have if we want to start the year, we have a late winter that usually comes out in January, February, and then we have a spring and an early summer, and then we have a late summer, and then we get into the fall. We have 2 issues in the fall, and then we have 3 issues during Christmas.
Wow. So are they distributed all over the nation?
Absolutely. So
wow.
We have customers all over the country. It's very heavy on the coasts. So East Coast, West Coast are the most of our customers. But yeah, and it's sprinkled everything obviously in between.
Right.
And we, the core business of Enzo's Table, the store, is really trying to be that Italian heritage, California soil, right? Everything, the gifting of a California made product, that you can, show your friends the bounty of what comes from here, really in a beautiful way and a delicious way.
100%. Your presentation is on point. Do you mind sharing a few of those with us here?
No, absolutely.
I do feel like too, just being based in Fresno specifically, the Central Valley of California, we're really spoiled. I think a lot of times we take it for granted, right?
Yeah.
Like we are here and we are able to go to Enzo's Table, whereas
sure.
a lot of people can't, and they, are able to kind of order online, which I think is cool.
No
so
doubt.
these are some examples of what potentially you could order as like holiday gifts, or are these found year round?
These two are found year round.
Okay.
And most of our gifts are found year round. We just don't sell very many of them year round.
Yeah.
60% of our annual sales for Enzo's Table come between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So in that 3-4 week time frame is where we basically make it or break it. And but yes, these gifts here, we have a sampler 5-pack of olive oils and vinegars. We have our olive oil and a couple of pestos in that one.
Love it.
And yeah, it's a really the holidays are crazy, but I really do love it. It's just the hustle of it.
Yeah. So I feel like now we're in a culture where everything's starting a little bit earlier, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm seeing Halloween stuff as early as July. I'm seeing there's Christmas at Costco already.
Sure.
Like, it's wild. So how has that affected your business at all? Like, are you starting to promote for holiday earlier, or what does that window look like for you guys?
So I totally understand where you're coming from, what you're seeing. COVID really moved things up for us because people were afraid that their gift might not get to the person in time, because UPS, FedEx, all these people were having, it was on the news every day, package delays. And also because there were a lot of supply constraints.
Right.
We could have people were running out of products, being sold out early. That was definitely the case in 20 and 21. 22, it started to ease back to normal, where supply constraints weren't really an issue anymore. UPS had figured out how to, deliver packages more efficiently, and also people were just buying less stuff. They're actually going to stores again and out and about.
Good point.
And so those pressures had released. So now we're expecting a more traditional holiday shopping season, more than we're used, back to when prior to COVID.
Right.
And because people if I'm going to give you a gift, I don't really want you to receive that gift on December 2nd, right?
True.
I want you to get it as close to Christmas as possible. So our busiest time from a shipping standpoint is, the week prior to December 17th. So pretty much December 17th is the online store sales actually just kind of completely fall off the cliff. The reason for that is if you're shipping to the East Coast after December 17th, it is more risky that it's not going to get there.
True.
Right. So especially from California. So those sales really fall off. But prior to that, it's a zoo.
Yeah, wow.
And then after December 17th, even though the online store sales have fallen off, that's when the in-person store just goes crazy.
The last minuters are like,
Absolutely.
I know I can physically pick it up and bring it.
I'm going to go get that bottle of olive oil.
And the
We're going to a
packaging
dinner
is
party.
clearly on point.
Right.
It's literally ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Interesting. So starting the business, did you have one extra virgin olive oil, or did you launch with a couple? Let's talk about your kind of...
it's a layered answer.
I know, right?
So that first year, we had 3 varieties.
Okay.
But we were not ready to release 3 varieties. So we had our delicate, medium, and bold in tanks, but we were only selling our medium. And we that first year, and then year 2, we were able to finally start moving all 3. So we kind of building up to it.
Yeah.
Like I said, year 1. We had no idea what we were doing.
You learn a lot.
We learned a lot.
Yeah.
But now, so we have 3 extra virgins, the delicate, medium, and bold, which are actually 3 separate varieties of olive. So we have grow Arbequina, Arbosana, and Corniki. The Arbequina goes into the delicate, the Arbosana goes into the medium, and the Corniki goes into the bold. Then from there, we have 2 infused olive oils. And those were the first additions that we did to the extra virgin line. So what we do there is we take extra virgin olive oil that we've made at Harvest, and we take the essential oils of Meyer lemon and garlic and infuse them into the extra virgin oil, right? And it gives you a very stable product that we can make year-round, on demand, and they're delicious. They're very good sellers for us, as you can imagine. The Meyer lemon is great as in addition to salads or on fish, those types of things. The garlic, very popular. People could put on their bread, instant garlic bread, throw it into mashed potatoes at Thanksgiving, instant garlic mashed potatoes, all kinds of fun stuff. The next step is where we really started to get into the more artisanal flavoring of olive oils. And those are, we have 4 of them. We have Eureka lemon, we have basil, we have clementine, and our Fresno chili. Yep. And so how we make those is very different than the infused olive oils. We actually take the raw ingredients of basil, clementine, Eureka lemon, Fresno chili, and we put them into the crusher while we are crushing the olives.
Oh, wow.
So they get fused, not infused, but fused together at that point. And then they go through the normal process of making olive oil. And what comes out the end is clementine olive oil, Fresno chili olive oil. And we make a very limited run of that every year. We're usually in the 400 gallons ish range every year. We're just trying to make enough that we can sell through it, make a new batch of this next year. It's a very special way to make it. Like the Fresno chilies, it's my favorite flavored olive oil by far,
Me
for
too.
being honest.
Yeah.
We grow all the chilies ourselves. And then we.
Oh, cool.
And
so
then,
not obviously the olives, obviously.
Yes.
But, oh, cool.
So it's a
the
very
chilies
cool.
Too.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yep. So it's hard to find that many Fresno chilies on the market. At the time that we need them. So we kind of figured out a way to grow them ourselves.
Very
and
cool. I enjoyed it on my avocado toast this morning.
There you go.
Like most every morning.
Yep.
It's 10 out of 10.
Yep.
Love that. Very cool. And then, I mean, I've seen it too, incorporated into different menu items in local restaurants. And Enzo's fries being one of them. Parm fries, right?
Yep.
Love. Yeah. So you say fresh crushed. That's a tongue twister.
Yep.
Fresh crushed. So cool. So what do you like putting this on?
So
like at home, you and Ashley are chefs.
I mean, Ashley definitely, she loves spicy things, so she puts it on absolutely everything. But pastas, soups, frying an egg in it, avocados.
So good.
When we make a stir fry at home, finishing it on
that's
that.
a good idea.
Because you think about it, it's anytime you want to add spice or a sriracha or whatever it is, this is the supplement to that.
So good. So tell me, kind of transitioning a little bit into like community involvement. You mentioned a while ago the Fresno State connection.
Yeah. You
went to Fresno State.
I did.
And I didn't realize how involved you were with the football program.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Sure. So in 2001, from 2001 to 2005, I was the assistant director of football ops for Coach Hill.
Yeah.
And was, when I started there, that was my freshman through senior year. When I first started, my direct report, his name was Mike Charlatan. And now Mike is the director of college scouting for the Minnesota Vikings. And him and I remained very good friends.
So cool.
So I started there in 2001, and I kept, every year my responsibility just got more and more and more and more. Actually, I would probably say by semester they got more and more and more.
Right, because you're working through school.
Absolutely.
So you're in class during the day, I imagine, right? Or how'd you juggle that?
Yeah, so I would get to the office between 6 and 7 in the morning, and start, get the day kind of lined out, how things I needed to do. Sometimes coach needed things first thing, or our defensive coordinator, Coach Brown, needed things. Whatever it was, I had things to do in that morning. By then I'd go to class. I would come back, continue working on some of those things. We'd go to practice. After practice, come back, wrap things up, and then go home and, start on homework.
Wow.
It was one of the most fun times of my life, for sure. Getting to travel to all those stadiums throughout in that time frame. And we were really good while I was there.
That's
so it was
fun.
a lot of fun.
Yeah. Coach Hill days. That's awesome.
Yep, for sure.
And you remain a devoted Fresno State fan, right?
No doubt.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Still go to the games,
No.
still support all the things.
We'll be
Very
there Saturday.
cool.
Yeah,
Love
absolutely.
Love it.
Yeah.
So cool. So did you play football at all yourself?
I did when I was much younger.
Yeah.
I had in 8th grade, I had a couple of concussions, so
Yeah.
pulled the ripcord really quick in the
That'll
career.
do it.
Yep.
Yeah. So sports, you're a sports fan though.
For sure.
Baseball, football.
Yeah, baseball, football,
basketball too.
all the things.
Cool.
Yeah. Tennis.
Yankees fan, right?
Big Yankees fan.
Love that. So the Aaron Judge connection.
Yeah, the Aaron Judge connection's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Ashley helps volunteer with their foundation on their marketing committees.
Oh yeah.
A few years ago, it would have been 2019. Enzo Olive Oil Company hosted the All Rise Foundation Gala at our olive mill.
How cool is that?
It was very fun. Wow. It was also
was it like
exhausting.
a formal dinner or what was the
vibe?
vibe?
Definitely a formal dinner. Everybody in suits and gowns
Amazing.
and the whole thing. And at the mill during harvest, which was, like I said, it was chaos. So we actually shut down harvest earlier the day before. And actually, I think the day of, I think we were still running some olives. And then we stopped around noon. They moved in. We cleaned everything, got everything set up, had the party. Party ends, tear down time, because our crew is going to be back in the next morning at like 6 a.m. to start making olive oil again.
Oh my God.
It was a wild 24 hours, but it was a lot of fun.
And you pulled it off.
Pulled it off.
So cool. Love that. Yeah, the All Rise Foundation does great work. We've worked with them on other accounts as well. And just a cool Fresno connection, too,
Absolutely.
that you guys are involved in. You do it with Ashley, which is great.
Yep.
What about the connection to community, right? So we've talked about your and your family's involvement with Fresno State. And obviously you're a proud alum, which is really cool. You also are involved in community efforts in other ways. You mentioned we've chatted about potentially some board positions, and I know your dad and your mom and your whole family is very involved in the community. So let's talk about that, because I feel like that's a huge part of who you are as a family and your company as well.
For sure. So, absolutely. So my family has a lot of, is involved in a lot of ways. And I definitely have learned that from both of my parents of, the community gives you a lot and they support you a lot. And so how are you going to help in return help make the community as a whole a better place to live? It's where we're going, where we're raising our children, for our businesses. We need to make sure that, this town and the community here is as good and as we can make it. And so, at the core, that's where our family is very involved. With both my parents at Fresno State, and then my dad. He was a past board member for Valley Children's for I think almost 30 years, and other initiatives for both of them. For myself, I was involved with Community Medical Foundation for a long time, and I was part of some younger fundraising groups with them, and which was a lot of fun. We raised a lot of money for the Neuroscience Institute downtown and those types of things with the Down Brown Legacy Fund, and then just trying to stay involved as much as possible. And I'm looking forward to starting a new role with Catholic Charities this coming fall, this next winter, after the new year. And so that'll be the next chapter of being involved and giving back.
Cool. As a board member?
Yes.
Awesome. I imagine you get approached often for initiatives. Vincent, I want you to be involved in this, or I think you should volunteer for this, or how do you kind of decide and set boundaries? Because I feel like that's hard for a lot of executives.
No, absolutely. The first question is, what's the commitment?
Fair.
Right?
The time commitment.
The time commitment.
Yeah.
And because I don't want as much as I'd love to do everything, but you just obviously you don't have the time to do everything, and I want them to be able to get my best. And if I'm not able to participate, then no one's doing anybody any favors.
Right.
And so that's the first question. So if the board is well ran and it's just a few meetings a year, I'm all in, and
Right.
as much as they want me.
And then certain initiatives that you feel passionate about,
doubt.
right? Whether
Absolutely.
it be faith-based or education-based or
Youth-based.
community-driven,
Yep, that's right.
youth-based, all the things. Yeah, so cool. I just feel like that's a natural. That's something a lot of people can relate to. You know,
For
it's
sure.
like how and where do I want to be spending my time?
No
There
doubt.
are only so many hours in the day. Would you consider yourself a morning person?
No.
No.
No. Definitely not. But you have to be. So
Yeah. Well, when you were talking about your schedule in college, I'm like, okay, so that's an early start, and
Yeah.
you're an ag. So I imagine, depending on the operations and the time of year, you're probably up pretty early for that too, right?
Definitely, the time of year plays a big thing in it.
I'm
Like
sure.
olive oil harvest. I'm very involved with the olive oil harvest.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, getting up and out in the morning is important.
So do you make coffee at home? Do you have coffee at the office? What's your go-to? Do you drink coffee?
No, I definitely drink coffee.
Yeah.
That's the fuel of life.
I agree with that.
In the morning, yeah. So I usually have my first cup or whatever at the office.
Okay, cool.
Just to get there quicker
Yeah.
we have that during harvest. To be honest, as I'm driving out to the mill, it's about 20, 30-minute drive.
Right.
So as I'm walking to my car, I usually pull up the Starbucks app and I order on the app, and then I get
Then
to
you
the one
get
at
it, yeah.
Bryant and Fort Washington and run inside, grab my cappuccino, and hit the road and
Perfect,
go. And I
perfect.
drink it on
Yeah.
while listening to some podcasts on the way to the office.
Yeah. Okay, so you listen to podcasts. Do you have
Yes.
a go-to faves?
A friend of mine is John Middlecoff. And
Turf.
yep. And so I enjoy listening to his during
I love that.
during the football season. I mean, him and I work together at Fresno State.
Oh,
so
fun. I didn't
we-
know that.
yeah, yeah. So we
That's
go
great.
back,
He's awesome.
a long way. Which is a lot of fun. And
That's so fun.
And him and Guy, I can put myself in the Fresno State football staff room talking to those guys
How fun.
when I listen to that podcast, which is a lot of fun.
I mean, I hate to say the glory days, but like that sounds like a fun crew to be with at
Oh, it was
Fresno
a
State
lot of
during that
fun,
time,
for
right?
sure.
Like that's so fun. So I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about this trend that I'm seeing. And this has probably been around for a while, but I'm seeing it more recently of adding olive oil to your coffee.
Yeah, so the Oleato Starbucks.
Yeah.
thing.
So but yes, they're very much commercialized that. But even before that, I feel like olive oil in coffee was like a trending idea.
It's definitely a it's definitely a Starbucks
Yeah.
thing, and that he came up with.
So
I had
tell-
not heard about it before
Really?
Starbucks started,
Yeah.
made their press release.
So you know how like some people whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube, whatever, how some people love certain types of videos. Like some people love baking videos and
Sure.
they like watching those
Yep.
or assembling certain things. My thing is watching people do coffee drinks.
Okay.
There's very cool people that have like very stylized shoots and they do these coffee drinks and they're magic. I mean, amazing. And I've seen
My Instagram algorithm does not have that in it. So,
I'm sure, yeah.
But that's great.
So anyway, I've seen it done, but you're right. Starbucks absolutely made it a thing and more approachable for people.
For sure.
Tell me, like, what's the benefit?
Yeah, the benefit is the health benefit, right? So
Yeah.
olive oil inherently is extremely healthy for you, especially if it's really good extra virgin olive oil that's fresh, right? So high polyphenols, good fat, there's a lot of good things in olive oil.
Right.
And so, a lot of people around the globe, like they have a teaspoon, a tablespoon of olive oil every day, basically as for medicinal purposes. So if you can incorporate that into your coffee, it's an easier way to do it, which was Starbucks' idea is
Right.
it's going to be this next paleo thing. And I've started trying it at home when he made that. It is good. I mean, it's a little different,
Yeah.
obviously, but like when you incorporate it into your milk foam, it
Okay,
makes
so that's a good idea.
it's a
Putting
really
it in the
nice
foam.
it's a really nice texture for the foam. Yeah. So if
Love
you're
that.
looking for some extra polyphenols, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it. So it changes the taste a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, depending on it also depends on the olive oil, right? So
Right.
each olive oil has its own flavor profile based on the variety, just like wine does. So depending on which olive oil you put in there, one olive oil might be nutty, one might be grassy. So yeah, it's definitely going to change the flavor of the coffee.
I mean, even the words you're using to describe the olive oil taste, like you've traveled all over the world. I
Sure.
imagine that's like your R&D, right? Like you're kind of experimenting with different flavor profiles and learning about new recipes and things to always improve the Enzo brand. So you've mentioned you've been to Italy. You're 100%. I didn't know you were 100% Italian.
Yeah,
I knew you were
100%.
very Italian, but I didn't realize that's so cool. I feel like nowadays it's, very cool to be 100% of
For sure.
anything.
Yep.
So you go to Italy. What, once a year, twice a year,
The last
every
couple-
other year?
I mean, prior to, I was going every 3 to 4 years, pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And then also pre-kids, I should say. I should quantify that as well.
True.
But then there was a gap there for a while. But the last 2 summers, Ashley and I have gone and taken our kids. And 2 years ago, I was able to take my grandfather, who's 90,
amazing.
with my mom, and which was really special on a family front. Like he was able to show my kids, the town that he grew up in, the church that he went to, where his house was, all these things, and like really layered in, and so that they could, we took video and pictures and so to help them remember and really making that connection to their past, and that was a lot of fun. And while you're there, obviously you're immersed in the food culture and the cafe culture that is there. And it's very inspiring. And this last year, we actually went more to the north. So we typically go to the south. And this year we went to the north, and we visited Emilia Romagna and all these the rich
cool.
food culture that is up there, Parma, Modena, and I was able to visit our vinegar makers, the company that has made our vinegar for the last 8 or 9 years, and got to
cool.
see how they make it and taste different vinegars that they make. And we were able to taste 25, 75, 100-year-old balsamic vinegars. And again, very inspiring, very cool way to do things.
That would be my dream. I love balsamic and olive oil, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
But,
Balsamic's
they
great.
have a good little marriage going on there. There's a reason why they put them together. Tell
Here's
me.
our balsamic.
Oh,
There you go.
yes. Fantastic. This is my favorite. So I feel like, too, it obviously has a little bit more of like a vinegary taste. I think, too, sometimes people with a palate of wanting balsamic kind of gear towards more like deeper red wines and that sort of thing, And casually, you mentioned you also are in the wine. You help make wine. You're a part
Yes.
of a wine brand. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so the wine brand is My Italian Cousin.
My Italian cousin. I love that.
And it is
I love that.
it's I love wine, obviously. I love Cabernet Sauvignon, and that's what it is. But my father's one of his best friends is Marcello Monticelli, who was
So Italian.
very Italian
I
name,
love that.
very Italian man, and he was the head winemaker for Gallo up in Sonoma for, I think it was almost 50 years. And
Wow.
so he ran the winemaking programs there and taught everybody how to make wine, and created all of their blends for all their different labels. So like Apothic and all these different like very big money makers for them. Like he was the master blender for them, a master winemaker. And so he has 3 sons, 2 of which are also winemakers.
Oh, cool.
And Massimo is a good friend of mine, and we'd always talked about wanting to, maybe create a wine label together. And so back in 2012 was our first vintage. We released it in 2014.
Cool.
And yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a party. Our first party to release the wine was in our old store at Enzo's Table. And I remember making the cheers and welcoming everybody. And that's also when I announced to, I don't know, 150 people that were there that Ashley was pregnant. And we had to cheers again because we were having twins. And so anyway, it's a fun way to weave in the family stories.
And timing, right?
Sure.
Like you remember that pivotal moment in your life.
Yeah, no doubt.
All the new beginnings.
For
so
sure.
Cool. So can you buy the wine at Enzo's Table?
You can. You can buy the wine at Enzo's Table, Sam's Italian Deli.
Oh, cool.
It's also on the menu at both Annex, Anesso, and Five.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, we've won this last year's the 2019 vintage. We won Best in Show by Sunset Magazine and double golds, and it's really great. It's a lot of fun to have.
Amazing. Well, Vincent, you have so much going on. Like, wow. Thank you for telling your story. This
No,
was
thank
so
you for
fun.
having me today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And to keep following along your story, follow on social media,
Yep.
Enzo Olive Oil, Enzo's Table. And appreciate your time.
No,
Thanks
thank you
for
for
doing
having me
this.
today.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening. Feel free to rate and review this episode here and connect with us on Instagram if you have any thoughts, questions, or any guest suggestions. Thanks.